So let's start by making the body upright and relaxed. And inviting the awareness to spread throughout the whole body. See if you can tune into your aliveness, your energy that's present. The vibration and the tone of who you are. See if you can feel how amazing it is to be alive. See if you can lean your mind in that direction. It's like, wow. Here I am. And there's such a freshness, a preciousness when we incline the mind in this way. And I want to talk about this. This is a class on Buddhist and Taoist philosophy, and I'm really looking to give us a strong foundation in Buddhist philosophy. Not so much in an academic sense, but to really get at the meat, to get at the heart of what the Buddha taught. And a very, very sort of central chord in his teachings is the idea of fabrication, that through our ways of looking, through what I like to call the orientation of the chitta, the orientation of the heart, the positioning of the heart, through our likes and dislikes, our intention, our level of intention, our attention, our level of attention, and through many other factors, we are concocting and fabricating our experience. And so, the Buddha taught about karma and this idea that our past actions have a resonance, and this plays a role in shaping our present and our future experience. But he also taught, and I think for some people that's relatively easy to wrap their heads around, and even if you don't believe in karma, this idea that the past has an effect on, your past actions have an effect and consequence. That's something we can all sort of see. Maybe not all, but many of us can see. But he also taught that there's something we're doing right now that's shaping our experience of the present. There's something we're doing right now that's shaping our experience. And usually it's it's subtle, it's sort of in the background, and we're not even aware of it. But as meditators, you may be starting to get a sense of this. It's like right now, if you spread your awareness throughout the whole body, feel your energy. And again, lean into this sense of, wow, here I am. I get to be here in this incarnation. And even when our present moment is difficult, and when there's pain or anxiety, there's also this life. There's this uniqueness, the tenderness, and the experience of being a sensitive being. And so it's like, wow, we can open in appreciation and awe of this great mystery of being here right now. So, okay, so I just said that, right, and allowed myself to go in that direction. And that may or may not have felt open to you. But what I'm really pointing to is how, through our way of looking, we get to shape our reality. It's not the only factor that shapes things, but it is, I think, the most powerful, most potent factor. In other words, I'm not saying that it's objectively true, that it's amazing to be alive right now. I'm saying that when we change our way of looking to that mode, then experience appears that way. So does that make sense? It's like we're concocting our experience with intention and deliberation. So, those of you who are familiar with my teachings know that I really emphasize awareness immersed in the body, or mindfulness in the body. And I really emphasize taking the broad view of the whole body, really feeling your whole body. And in a way, when you do this, it's as if the body is like this cauldron. And once you have the cauldron and you're aware of it, then you can kind of stir in different things. And this is an image that the late, great Rob Burbea would use, maybe not exactly in this way, but similarly. It's like you can take a vial of one potion and put that in, and a few drops of another potion and stir that around. So it's sort of like that. We're learning to be these sort of, in a way, like sorcerers or wizards. And so we can put in a few drops of mudita, or appreciation. We can put in some metta, or radical love. We can put in a liter of mindfulness, this real emphasis on presence and staying with the body. So a few sort of practical things to point out here in sort of summary of what I said. Number one, we participate in our experience. We are not just victims. We participate. We actually shape our present reality through the mind. Okay, and then number two, our experience is really dependent primarily on the mind. So mind is the forerunner here. In the first verse of the Dhammapada, which is a collection of short sayings by the Buddha that I highly recommend. It's very easy to read, and each sort of verse is very small, right? But the first verse, it goes like this: all actions are led by the mind. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. Act or speak with a impure state of mind, and suffering follows like the cart follows the ox that pulls it. Another translation of this: all phenomena are preceded by the mind. So all things are led by the mind. Mind is their master. Mind is their maker. If you act or speak with an impure state of mind, so a mind that is corrupted by the five hindrances, or corrupted by things like aversion and a sense of lacking, stagnation, dullness, overactivity, anxiety, depression. So when the mind is corrupted, then suffering follows, like the cart follows the ox that pulls it. So remember, the Buddha is speaking 2,500 years ago, and so this image of an ox pulling a cart would have been very familiar. But you can kind of feel the sense of heaviness, like this ox that's burdened, by a cart that it's lugging around with it. So I like that. There's a sense of burden and heaviness. And then the Buddha says, all actions are led by the mind. Mind is their master. Mind is their maker. Act or speak with a pure mind, a pure state of mind. And happiness follows like your shadow. So when the mind is pure, and I think of this as a mind unobscured by the five hindrances, a mind that is collected, sheltered, strong. Then happiness follows like your shadow. So the shadow follows, it's very light. There's no heaviness, and it's very quick. It's with you wherever you go. So this is a teaching, that's really about sort of taking care of the heart, of the mind, the chitta. And typically when that is sort of taught, it's taught on that level of kind of karma and there being consequences. But if you look closer, you'll find that there's the implication of fabrication or concoction. That what is here in the heart shapes our experience. So once again, spread your awareness throughout the whole body. See if you can sense the freedom underlying this teaching. Again, we are not victims, and there is work that we can do, work or play, right? We're not just beholden to external circumstances. And so if we're interested, we can really start to learn how to shape the mind and how to shape the moment, how to shape one's experience. And then we can shape our lives. It's really, wow, I mean, it's such an amazing asset and really refuge, shelter, when we start to recognize this truth. I mean, I can't imagine life without it. I'm so lucky to have these teachings. You know, otherwise it's like I feel like I would just be lost. So today, you know, we've been talking about kind of intentionally elevating factors of the heart, qualities of the heart, so that we can enjoy the impact that that has on our experience, either in meditation or outside of meditation. But you know, the Buddha also talks a lot about how these sort of external defilements, and I know defilements is a heavy word, you know, but these mental harassments that arise for all of us and come and poison the mind, and if we're not careful, they start to whisper stories and we start to listen to them, and before we know it, we're going in the wrong way, right? But so there's this idea that the mind can be stirred up and concocted. And so, you know, first we need to become aware of that and sort of start to put an end to that, to stop the evil, you know, stop the suffering, the dukkha, the stress, the suffering, the burdens, the heaviness. But it's also good to remember that what the Buddha is pointing to is beyond this. It's beyond going from negative to positive. It starts that way, but it goes towards something else, something sublime, beyond. And so here I want to introduce another word, a Pali word, so from the ancient Pali language. And this word was sort of lost, as I understand it. And there was a teacher named Ajahn Buddhadasa, a sort of very radical, amazing teacher who started teaching in around the 1930s in the southern province of Thailand, who kind of reintroduced this word from the ancient scriptures, and it's atamyata. Atamyata. It's a tough word to say. And he translates it as unconcoctability. It's when the mind can no longer be concocted, when nothing can stir up the mind. There's something so profound about this. You know, growing up we hear about ideas of heaven or, you know, or even enlightenment, you know, and usually it's like do you believe in that or do you not believe in that? But if we actually kind of linger there and start to imagine what might it be like? What might it feel like? These are deeper questions, you know. In like Hollywood, the way heaven is portrayed, like, I don't know if you've seen the show The Good Place, or, you know, all kinds of movies, right? It's, I don't know, it's like this, I guess, this beautiful realm, right? Sometimes in the clouds, and where there's no lack, of sensory pleasures and, whatever, whether it's feasts of food or beautiful women or men or, whatever, it's kind of there's a lot of like these kinds of depictions. And in Buddhist cosmology, there are several levels of heaven that one can be reborn in for some amount of time, not permanently. And so some of these things are there. There's something called the six sensuous heavens, where there are varying degrees of sensual pleasures. And then there's beyond that. And the heavens beyond that actually are aligned with the levels of meditation that we can achieve as human beings. Anyway, I digress. When you consider something like atamyata, unconcoctability, the mind not being subject to ever being stirred up by anything, this is really beyond any typical mundane depiction of a heaven. And if you're mindful, if you pay close attention, you'll see that the mind is, for the rest of today, your mind is being stirred up over and over and over again in different ways. And so just to drop in the concept, the possibility of something beyond that is very powerful. And to me, this is a lot of what the image of the Buddha, which you see behind me, this is a lot of what this image represents. Someone who broke through and experienced what he called release. Unbinding. He found another synonym for nibbana or nirvana is unbinding. He became totally unbound, totally free, unconcoctable. And it's said that he saw this process of fabrication at a very deep level, where the heart was utterly convinced, complete conviction in this fabrication process. And seeing that everything is fabricated, there's no reason for the mind to be concocted or stirred up anymore. Because none of this is really real. So first we learn how to sort of fabricate in a good direction, how to elevate the heart, how to develop the adhicitta, the higher heart. But don't forget where this is heading. It's heading to something beyond. And it's very important, if you can, and this is a choice, right? It's up to you. But if you start to have some curiosity about this unconcoctability, this nibbana, enlightenment, and you start to open to this as a possibility, and maybe you'll start to aspire towards it. Just that alone is so powerful. Wow, it's like I've really done my job as a teacher, if I can impart that. So I offer this for your reflection. And may all beings share in the blessings springing from this teaching. By the power of these merits, may all be well, happy,